So children, till now we have seen dichloromethane, trichloromethane, trichloridomethane, which is nothing but iodoform. Now moving to tetrachloro. Since I told you polyhalogen compounds are having more than one halogen derivatives, I have moved to tetrachloro. How many chlorine atoms they have? 4. So tetrachloromethane, where it is used? It is used in the manufacture of refrigerants and propellants. It is used as a feedstock to synthesize chlorofluorocarbons. It is used to synthesize CFCs, that is your chlorofluorocarbons. Then it is used as a cleaning fluid in industry. It is used as a spot remover for homes, and it is used as a fire extinguisher. So tetrachloromethane has got 3 uses. See, I'm just providing you a short form. See, just imagine this T as F. Okay, so F means what? Feedstock to synthesize CFCs. So FCM. Okay, what is F stands for? It is going to stand for feedstock to synthesize CFCs. Then C stands for cleaning liquid in industries, spot cleaner for home as well as in fire extinguisher. So M children, M stands for manufacturing refrigerants and propellants. Okay, so you know where your tetrachloromethane is used. It is used as feedstock, used as fire extinguisher. So F stands for 2, fire extinguisher, feedstock. And C, cleaning liquid, spot cleaner. And M, manufacture of repellents and propellants and refrigerants. Coming to the side effects of using tetrachloromethane, are harmful effects. What is that? When you are exposed to tetrachloromethane, it leads to liver cancer, it leads to dizziness, nausea and headache. Also, it leads to permanent damage to the nerve cells, and it leads to palpitation, that is irregular heartbeat. And in severe cases, it leads to coma and death. See, when you come in contact with the tetrachloromethane in your eyes, it leads to irritation of eyes. Now imagine a condition when it is released to the atmosphere. When you are releasing it in the air, it is going to rise up in the atmosphere and it leads to depletion of ozone layer. It leads to depletion of ozone layer. Okay. Moving to freons. Okay, freons. Moving to freons. Freons means what? They are refrigerants. They should be used in refrigerants. So freons are nothing but CFCs of methane and ethane are collectively called as freons. So what are freons, children? CFCs of methane derivatives and ethane derivatives are collectively called as freons. What is the chemical nature of freons? They are stable compounds, they are non-toxic, they are non-corrosive, they are unreactive, they are easily liquefiable gases. So what is the property of a freon? They are non-toxic, they are non-corrosive, they are stable, they are not reactive, they are easily liquefiable gases. The commonly used freon will be F12. It is produced mainly from the Schwarz reaction, which we have already seen. So it is produced from Schwarz reaction from CCl4, from that is carbon tetrachloromethane or carbon tetrachloride. Where it is used, this freon F12, where it is used? It is used in propellants, it is used in refrigerants as well as for air conditioning purposes. So whenever you think of freons, you have to imagine the 2 points, refrigerant and air conditioning purposes. Then once it is released to atmosphere, I told you it will be rising up in the atmosphere. When you release it, it rises up in the atmosphere, it moves to stratosphere. Once it moves to stratosphere, it is going to initiate a radical reaction, free radical reaction. As a result, this is going to upset your ozone balance. So this is also a culprit for ozone depletion. Till now we have seen 2 which are going to deplete your ozone layer, which is nothing but your CCl4 as well as your freons. Moving to the last polyhalogen compounds, DDT. I think from 10th standard, from lower classes, we have been studying about DDT. What is the full form of DDT? It is dichloro diphenyl trichloroethane. What is DDT? Dichloro diphenyl trichloroethane. Okay. See, you know this is used as an organic. This was the first chlorine derivative organic insecticide which is discovered in the year 1873. So your DDT is the first chlorine derivated organic insecticide which was discovered in the year 1873. But you know, it was not, it didn't come to the market till 1939 after the scientist Muller's Pharmaceuticals told about the effectiveness of DDT as an insecticide. Then only it became practice that people started using 1939 onwards. Your DDT came into practice as an effective insecticide for which your Muller Pharmaceuticals was awarded Nobel Prize under the branch medicine. Okay. Now, what is the use of medicine what is the use of DDT? As I told you, it is an effective insecticide after its discovery. But when its usage was increased manyfold, its usage was increased after World War II. Why? Because people were able to control mosquitoes using DDT. Especially the mosquitoes which causes malaria. You all know that female Anopheles mosquito is responsible for causing malaria. So this DDT was proved to be effective against mosquitoes. So people started using DDT against the use of mosquito after the World War II. But in late 1940s, people came to realize the problems related to the usage of DDT. So what problems they faced? Many species became resistant to DDT. What is the meaning of resistance? See, when you give me antibiotic for the first time, I am responding to it. Okay, my bacteria is responding to it, it is killed. 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, 12 times, then what happens? To that particular antibiotic, my bacteria has developed a resistance. It starts outgrowing. It is not feeling the effect of that particular antibiotic and it starts going to outgrow. So what is resistant? So I told you it is used against mosquito during World War II. Then you know what they saw? Some of the species became resistant to DDT. So the scientists have to discover more powerful insecticide to kill other particular species. So they became species resistant, and the toxicity. The toxicity was related to fish. I think you all know about the food chain related thing. We used DDT in agricultural field as to get rid of big mosquitoes which is going to cause your malaria. But because of leaching, because of bio-leaching, it entered every species level and finally it entered to fish, leading to high toxicity in the fish. Moreover, your DDT is chemically stable. You are not able to destruct it. We are not able to cleave DDT. Although it is a polymer, taking into consideration it has got 2 chlorine derivatives and it has got 2 phenyl derivatives and 3 chlorine derivatives and ethane molecules. Such a big polymer cannot be cleaved. It became chemically stable and it is also fat soluble. So by solubilization method as well as by chemical cleavage method, I am not able to make it unstable. Okay. Then it cannot be. What is the main problem? You cannot metabolize some chemicals because we don't have particular enzymes nor hormones present in the animals. So it cannot be metabolized by the enzymes. Once a particular chemical cannot be metabolized, then what happens? It will be deposited and it is stored in the fatty tissues. See, this is applicable for people who are drunkards, like people who drink alcohol. What happened? The drunk alcohol should be metabolized by the body, correct? Suppose I am eating a particular food which can be metabolized by my body, which can be metabolized by the enzymes and hormones, then its removal is also easy. I am giving little work to my kidney. Suppose I am taking alcohol on regular basis. Alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol should be converted to aldehyde and aldehyde will be converted to acid. This is the metabolism of alcohol. People who are continuously consuming alcohol, what happens? We don't have particular enzyme which is not secreted in enough amount because that is not a required chemical for the body. So what happens? Your liver and kidney have to do overwork in order to remove that. So that's the reason why people who consume alcohol will surely be suffering from liver damages as well as kidney damages. The same case is for DDT, because DDT is not a required chemical to the human body. It should be metabolized by the human body, but animals are not able to metabolize it. Why? Because it is chemically stable and it is not solubilized. It is also fat soluble. It is also fat soluble because if I am going to add any other steroid containing solvents to cleave it, that is also becoming impossible because it is fat soluble. Because of all these, it is going to enter the last level of food chain, that is to the fish, leading to high toxicity in the fish. And a person who is going to intake this DDT accidentally, he will not be able to metabolize it. As a result, it will be accumulating in the fatty tissues. Suppose, say for example, you are ingesting DDT unknowingly for a large amount of period. Since there is no way to metabolize it, to eliminate it, what happens by means of biomagnification, it keeps accumulating in the human body. Due to all these drawbacks, DDT was banned in USA in 1973, but still it is used in many of the countries including India. Then moving to the last topic, children. Till now we have seen polyhalogen compounds. I'll just give you like what halogen compounds, polyhalogen compounds we have seen. We saw dichloromethane, correct? Then we saw polychloromethane, trichloromethane. Then we saw trichloridomethane, which is otherwise called as iodoform. Then we saw tetrachloromethane, then we saw freons, then we saw DDT. So 3 plus 3, 6. So we have seen 6 polyhalogen compounds. Then how to determine this halogen containing compounds in the laboratory? We have a test. See, I have a halogen containing organic compound. I am going to warm it with aqueous KOH, that is potassium hydroxide. I am going to warm it, and after warming it I am going to add I am going to acidify it by adding dilute nitric acid. Once acidified, I am going to add silver nitrate to it. Then I will be getting precipitate. When I will get precipitate, if my alkyl halide, if my halogen containing compound is having alkyl group, allyl group or benzyl group, only in these 3 cases I will be getting precipitate, provided the precipitate should be soluble in nitric acid. Okay. Then suppose if my halogen containing compound, if it is going to be an aryl derivative or vinyl derivative, then I won't be getting precipitate. Clear? So what is the test? I need to take my halogen containing compound, I have to warm it with KOH and then acidify with nitric acid and then add silver nitrate to it. So my alkyl, allyl, benzyl groups will form a precipitate, and aryl and vinyl group will not form a precipitate, and the precipitate should be soluble in nitric acid. Yes, children?